This story is about a tweet. The tweet actually came out from Reebok yesterday. They sent out this tweet. I didn't hear about it until, I can't remember if it was early this morning or late last night I heard about it. But it really started getting a lot of, you could say, going viral in a sense today. A lot of people were forwarding this tweet. I know a lot of news organizations like Jake Tapper retweeted it today. The Hill news organization retweeted it today. So it really, a lot of people found out about it today, and it's being talked about it a lot. So, and we know, the mainstream media probably didn't cover this, or if they covered for like a few seconds. Who knows? Maybe Fox did a little more on this. You never can tell. But we wanted to, because I didn't watch them all day and night, but we wanted to come on and talk to you about this story. And also, we wanted to hear what you had to think about this story. We want to hear what you have to say. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to explain the story. We're going to look at the tweet. We're going to look at some of the reactions to it. And then we're going to get your comments and take your questions and read your comments on the air. So if you'd like to write in, what you can do is you can message me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Write in what your thoughts are on this whole tweet thing with Reebok, which we're going to talk about in a second. And I'll read your comments on the air. So look forward to hearing from you. Okay, so let's get into the actual story. So we got to go a little backstory here. So where this all started is when President Trump on Thursday arrived for his 2-day visit to France to visit French President Macron. There was a video shot which captured an interaction between President Trump and Emmanuel Macron's wife, Brigitte Macron. I think it's Brigitte and not Brigitte, so I'll say Brigitte Macron. And this was not the first time they had met. They had already spent some time together earlier in the day. But this actual exchange was captured, and I'm going to go to it here. I'm going to show you. That's not it. That's the tweet. I want to get to the. So there's the exchange. Hold on. So there it is. I'm going to play it for you. So you can see NBC Nightly News sent this one out, but a lot of people posted it. I think it might have been posted on Emmanuel Macron's Facebook page. I'm not sure. But anyways, what happens in this clip, and I'm going to show it to you, but what happens is President Trump says to Brigitte Macron, "You're in such good shape." And then I think he says to Emmanuel Macron, "She's in such good shape." And then he says, "Beautiful." So let's watch it. You can barely hear him say it. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. I'm going to try to let you hear it, but if you can't hear it, don't think I'm screwing up with the volume, because even when I listen to it right here on my own computer, I can barely hear it. But there's some captions up there, so I'm going to play this for you and let you watch it. So hold on a second. Let me do this. Okay, so that was it once. I'll play it again just so we can all get on the same page what we're talking about. So again, this is not the first time President Trump met Brigitte Macron. They had spent some time together earlier in the day, and this was some point, I think they had already gone on one tour of one of the sites there in Paris already. But this was, they had actually, and I know they had already met and shaken hands and spoken, because I've seen that footage from earlier. So, but this is a little later in the day. It's not their first meeting. But again, this is an interaction between President Trump and Brigitte Macron, Emmanuel Macron's wife. I'll play this again. Hold on. Okay, so that was the interaction between them, and I don't know if you could tell, but behind Brigitte Macron, when he says she's in such good physical shape, President Trump is saying that to Emmanuel Macron. President Macron is there when this is going on. Okay, so that happened. And there was some people who posted hey, he shouldn't have sent that. So there was this debate. Some people said, hey, that's sexist. He shouldn't have said that to her. And some people said it's not sexist to say that to her, that she's in good physical shape. Anyways, last night, in the afternoon yesterday, Reebok sent out this tweet. Now I'll show you the tweet that Reebok posted. the sneaker company Reebok, in case you weren't aware. They said, this is their tweet, this is Reebok's tweet. In case you were wondering when it is appropriate to say you're in such good shape, beautiful, this. By the way, you can't see it down there, but it has 20,000 retweets and 32,700 likes. So now if you can read, basically, let's see if I can get rid of the lower third here. Hold on one second. Okay, I disappeared for a second, but just so you can see, I want to describe all the different, so you can see there's a bunch of different cases of when you might say this sentence according to Reebok, and there's only one time when it's appropriate, and the one time they say it's appropriate is, did you just find a forgotten action figure from your youth unscathed after decades in your parents' basement? They say that's the only time it's okay to say you're in such good shape, beautiful. That's the only time that they're saying here of these cases. And the other cases they say are you in an elevator with a woman? No, it's not appropriate. Top right, are you introducing yourself to your future mother-in-law? No, it's not appropriate. Bottom right, are you at the gym working out next to a woman? Then no, it's not appropriate. Bottom, are you in line next to a woman ordering your morning coffee? No, then it's not appropriate. And at the top it says, are you a world leader greeting the spouse of a head of state? And it says, no, it's not appropriate to say this. So clearly a shot at Trump, clearly an anti-Trump tweet. So we have a company being political here and posting an anti-Trump tweet. I have some specific things to say about this tweet, but I just want to point out that they are being political. And there's been this question, especially, I guess it's been a question for a number of years, but it's especially since President Trump has taken office, you've heard it a lot, it's been talked about a lot, which is, should companies take political stands, strong political stands, which some of the country might like and some of the country might dislike. And, Target is well known for taking this stand on, they were against the North Carolina bathroom law. And they were very open about saying, we're against this law, and our bathroom policy is going to be that people can use the bathroom of the sex they identify with. And a number of people in the country, I've spoken to people, I go to the President Trump rallies and I speak to people at the rallies, and a number of people I've met there have said they were very offended by this Target policy. And I've read, Target's sales didn't do that well over the last year, and I've read articles speculating, and people aren't sure because it's a whole question you have to do research on, and it's tough to figure out. But some people theorize that a reason for Target's sales not doing that well have been because some people were boycotting them because of their political stance they took on this bathroom issue. So it's quite interesting to see this company taking such a clear anti-Trump stance, and it's also very snarky. It's not like, it'd be one thing if they posted we respectfully disagree with President Trump's remarks, but it was a very snarky negative tweet. So I want to talk about real quick before I get back to the specific tweet. I want to get to some of the feedback people have had. So there's been a lot of people, if you go on Twitter, a ton of people posting about this. Now, some people are unhappy about this tweet. For example, let me show you this. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. This tweet here from Pam has gotten, 2,583 likes, and it says, you should stick with selling shoes and stay out of politics. Just lost a customer, MAGA. So that's from Pam. On the other hand, there's people like this person, Diane 3 Strikes, who posted Reebok, the shoe of the resistance, the company with a soul. So this person seems very happy about the Reebok tweet. And then, but some people are calling for a boycott. So Stefan Molyneux, who a lot of people follow, he said boycott Reebok as a response to this. So we've heard people saying that too. So I'm interested in what you think about this. I'd love to get your feedback about this Reebok tweet that I'll go back to right now. And I want to say a couple more things about it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this tweet. So if you want to write in and let me know what you think about all this, write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, and I'll read your comment on the air. I just want to say a couple things about this specific tweet. not about President Trump's comment in general, although it's kind of related. I want to, the argument that this specific tweet is putting forward. One real problem I have with this tweet is that, so basically it gives, if I'm going to make this disappear, well, at the bottom there, can I shrink this a little more? Hold on a second. See if you can see it a little better there. Let me bring it up a little bit. Oops, there we go. There we go. Hold on, let me get Reebok in there. Okay. So what the tweet does is it equates the case of well, first of all, it misdescribes President Trump's case, okay? The case of President Trump is that one in the top middle, and it says, "Are you a world leader greeting the spouse of a head of state?" Now, President Trump wasn't greeting her. They had already met and talked. So it's not like he's meeting somebody for the first time and the first thing he says to her is, "You're in such good shape, beautiful." So that right there is a misleading, a misrepresentation of what happened. And I actually do think that, if you've never met someone before, if literally the first thing you say to them is, "You're in such good shape, beautiful," I could see somebody having more of a problem with that than I could see that being a circumstance which might make someone think, yeah, that maybe is not appropriate, but that's not the situation. So that's one problem. A second problem is that in this tweet, it basically likens the situation with President Trump and Brigitte Macron to 4 other situations. And it's basically saying this is the same as those. But there's a very important difference between those. The other 4 situations are situations where a guy is saying, "You're in such good shape, beautiful," to a girl, a woman he's never met before. He doesn't even know. So we have, are you in an elevator with a woman? Are you at the gym working out next to a woman? Are you in line next to a woman ordering coffee? Are you introducing yourself to your future mother-in-law? In all of those cases, the guy has never met the woman before, has had no interaction with her. In 3 of the 4 cases, he literally doesn't know her at all, or has no connection to her whatsoever. And then it equates those cases with the case of President Trump. But as I mentioned before, the President Trump, when he talked to Brigitte Macron in that interaction that we saw the video of, and he said, "You're in such beautiful shape, such good shape," it wasn't the first time he was meeting with her. He had been interacting with her throughout the day. They've been talking. I presume they'd established some kind of, some sort of relationship in the sense of friendly relationship. There's footage of them shaking hands early in the day where they're talking and they seem very friendly with each other. So it's this false equivalence to me. Basically the argument, the way this argument goes is Reebok is saying, well, if you agree that you shouldn't say this to a woman in the elevator, or you shouldn't say it to a woman in the gym, or you shouldn't say it to a woman next to you when you're ordering coffee, then you have to agree that President Trump shouldn't have said this. But that's a fallacious argument, because you can agree, you can think, yeah, I don't think it's appropriate to say that in the gym or in line at the coffee shop or in an elevator. But you can also say, but that's a totally different case than President Trump, because in those cases, you don't know the woman, but in this case, he did know the woman and he'd been interacting with her. So it's that's why I think there's a couple of reasons I think this is a bad argument. Whatever you think of the remark in general, I think the specific argument of this tweet is a bad and fallacious one. And one other thing I want to point out here is that you're in such good shape, and if you've read my Twitter, you know I tweeted about this earlier. You're in such good shape is something that both men and women say to both men and women as a compliment. I know in my life I've said this to guys and girls before who I know, just to be like, wow, you're in good shape. I remember at my college reunion a couple years ago, I ran into my college roommate, and I didn't recognize him at first because he was in such good shape. He'd lost 30 or 40 pounds. And I said to him, as a compliment, whatever wording I use, something to the effect of, "You're in really good shape." And it's something, you can say to somebody of either sex, and it's commonly said. And when it's said this way, it's as a human to human compliment, not male to female or female to male or gay man to male or whatever, whatever combination you choose. It's not a sexual comment. It's a compliment from one human being to another that you're in such good shape. So I don't think that line in itself is necessarily sexist. I mean, I could see, I guess I can imagine a case where I might see somebody saying it to somebody else and there'd be context in which I might think it's sexist, but in this very normal way of using it, I don't believe it's sexist at all. So those are some issues I have with the specific tweet from Reebok on this. Just their argument they're putting forth, and especially that false equivalent between those 4 cases they point out in the President Trump case. So I've said my piece on this. But that's just my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me on any of this. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So give me a shout. And by the way, if you're writing either on Facebook or YouTube in the chat room, I love your participating in the chat. But it's really hard. The best way to reach me and let me know what you're saying is on Twitter at Lookner, because the chat goes by so fast and I miss so much there, and I'm not really looking at the chat all the time. So if somebody says something and you think it's a good comment in the YouTube chat or the Facebook chat, feel free to write me on Twitter and say it again to me, and that way I'll read it on the air, because I'd like to get some feedback from you guys on this. Okay, so we're going to take your comments. By the way, thank you to the moderators for moderating the chat. Very much appreciated. And also, we are viewer supported here at Right Side Broadcasting. So if you like this coverage and you like having this kind of broadcast on, I don't think you'll see a broadcast quite like this on the mainstream media. I certainly don't think you'll see a mainstream media broadcast where they're going to actually analyze the tweet and go slowly through it and talk about the footage beforehand and stuff. So if you enjoy it, I hope you consider making a donation, because your donations are what allows us to be on the air. We are viewer supported. So if you'd like to donate, you can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or you can click in the YouTube chat next to the broadcast. There's a $sign at the bottom. You can click on that $sign and donate. And also, don't think oh, I don't have much, I donate $1 or something, but they're not going to care about that. No, the small donations really add up. So don't think a donation is too small to give. We appreciate them all. Okay, I want to get to your comments now on this Reebok tweet here. Let's see here. JC writes, fake shoes meet fake news at RSB Network. Thank you for keeping it real. Thank you, JC. Thank you for moderating in the chat room. Ella Bell Wilson writes in, just another liberal company just trying to twist the president's words as usual. That's from Ella Bell Wilson. Thanks for writing in. D. Green writes in, Reebok not popular anymore. I see New Balance, Nike, Adidas, Brooks, but not them as a top shoe. They're riding what they think is popular for a boost. That's from D. Green. By the way, Adam Tatusko just made a donation and he said boycott Reebok. Thank you, Adam, for your donation. We really appreciate it. So D. Green, thanks for your comment. And D. Green, I want to say something about your comment. A thought did occur to me. So D. Green, you say they're riding what they think is popular for a boost. It did occur to me today that you really don't hear anything about Reebok anymore, and they've gotten more press from this tweet in America than I've seen them get for the last several years. Now, I wonder, is there a world in which they just posted this tweet to get press? I don't know. It's possible, because they're getting a lot of press from it. Now, certainly some people, it's negative press, because some people might think some people will have a negative reaction to this tweet, obviously. But maybe they figure we don't care if half the people have a negative reaction, because we want half the people to like us and buy our stuff. I don't know. They might have just the getting publicity might have had nothing to do with their tweet. I don't know, though. It's a very good question. And D. Green, I agree with your point there. That's it's an interesting speculation. Carl Peterson just made a donation and said RSBN is the best news source. Thank you so much, Carl Peterson, for your generosity. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the donations. We're reading more of your comments here about this Reebok tweet, so I want to hear what you have to say. Whatever it is, maybe you think it's a great tweet. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear whatever you have to say on this. At Lookner on Twitter. Give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter. Also, feel free, if you're watching this on Facebook, to share this video. Let other people know we're covering this. And on YouTube, click the like button, because if you do that, then YouTube will tell more people about the video. David Jones writes in, so David Jones sent me a message with some pictures. So I'm going to show it to you. Hold on one second. Let me get this up here on the air. I have to make this a little bigger here. So David Jones writes in, hey Lookner, Reebok is a company of such great integrity they would never objectify women. I applaud them for standing up to Trump. Hashtag Reebok. And then there's some ads there where it says, there's one which says, tweet on your girl. Sorry, I'll get rid of the lower third. Cheat on your girlfriend, not on your workout, Reebok. And then there's a bunch of Reebok ads. It looks like posters where it says retone, where it's just really skimpy shots of women's like behinds and legs and stuff like that. So thank you, David Jones, for sending that in. That's an interesting point. I hadn't seen that before. I haven't gone through a lot of I haven't seen that particular take before, and I think that's a cool take. That some people, I'm guessing maybe some other people are posting other similar memes if they have other ads, but assuming those are real ads, which I assume they are, then especially like the cheat on your girlfriend one and the other one too, some people might say those are sexist. So, thank you, David, for writing that in. Let me go back here. First Fire 508 just made a donation and said, investigate Reebok sweatshops. Thank you so much, First Fire 508, for the donation. We really appreciate it. Let's see here. Proud Deplorable Cat says, completely disgusting tweet against real Donald Trump. Stupid logo, poor marketing, failing company. That's from Proud Deplorable Cat. Kate Deplorable writes in, nothing wrong with saying someone is in good shape. Hillary is an old hag who needs injections to cure her seizures. Now, I don't know what the Hillary part has to do with arrest, Kate, but you write it, I will read it. Let's see here. Blessed writes in, who cares what Reebok thinks? Who even wears them anymore? It's not 1985 anymore. Stu Cirque says, following in the footsteps of Target and Macy's, stock will plummet. Phil DePrinzio says UFC Dana White is not going to like that. Now, I don't understand that. I don't know enough about Dana White to get that comment. It says that I think he's saying UFC Dana White's not going to like that tweet. Oh, because Dana White's a Trump supporter? Is that the idea? Is he a Trump? I vaguely remember hearing Dana White is a Trump supporter, but don't hold me exactly to that. I can actually look it up. Hold on. Dana White, Trump. Let's see. Oh yeah, he did speak in front of. He did speak for Trump at the Republican National Convention, so he is a supporter. See if I get more feedback from you guys. Debbie Santiago writes in, Reebok, did you chastise Vogue for going into such detail about her legs? Why is telling someone they're in good shape inappropriate? That's from Debbie Santiago. Ella Bell Wilson says, maybe kind of like that Kathy Griffin want the attention. So Ella thinks both Kathy Griffin and Reebok did this to get attention. Reagan Better writes in, Reagan Better says Reebok was making a point. Trump was being inappropriate and unprofessional. So you think, Reagan Better, that Reebok wasn't doing this for publicity, and you think they genuinely felt this and they were making this point. Thank you for writing in. Sightless Seer writes in, it's truly unexpected that such a company which is capitalized on globalist distribution in a globalist economy against a president who has stated anti-globalist nationalistic agenda, that they wouldn't capitalize on an opportunity to do so, to utilize the commercial value of the newest fad of making digs at Prez. So it's an interesting point, Sightless Seer. You're saying that Reebok, if they consider themselves a globalist country with global distribution. Now, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with the Reebok marketing lately, but if they consider them that, then they might see benefit in going against an anti-globalist president. Okay, Deplorable Tiger Fan writes in case you were wondering when it's appropriate to, says at Reebok, in case you were wondering when it's appropriate to say, I will never buy this shoe brand again, when the brand is Reebok. So that is from Deplorable Tiger Fan. Thank you for all the comments, by the way. So we are here, we're reading your comments about this anti-Trump Reebok tweet. A number of you have written in. Thank you for that. If you'd like to write in and give your comment, write to me at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. And you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv as well. Feel free, by the way, if you enjoy our coverage, to subscribe to us on YouTube, Right Side Broadcasting. Click the notifications bell when you subscribe to make sure you get notifications. Or like and follow us on Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting, and or follow us on Twitter at RSB Network. And if you want, follow me on Twitter at Lookner. Now that I have a second, I'm gonna peek in the chat room in a second. See, I tell you people in the YouTube chat, I say, if you have something you want to say, write to me. And then I look in the chat and there's all these comments in the chat and I'm like, oh, I wish they wrote them to me. But although maybe people in the chat don't want me to say their things on the air. So let me know. I assume it's okay if I say some of the comments in the chat on the air, but please let me know if you don't want me to say this. Because I like hearing what you guys are thinking in the chat room about these issues. Let's see. PJ writes, when did Reebok change their logo to Pizzagate Triangle? I don't know what that means, but I'm just giving a sample of some of this stuff in the chat room. Let's see here. Music World says Reebok SUXS. Mike Rest says he's not going to buy their stuff ever again. He didn't use the word stuff, but I'm changing it. Nets fan says no future for Reebok. Oh, you know what I was going to do actually is I forgot to do this before. What I wanted to do is do a little real-time sampling online of what some people are saying about this Reebok tweet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Twitter, get rid of that, go to my home, I'm going to search Reebok, and I'm going to show you what comes up. I'm going to make this a little bigger here, I think. Let's just take a sampling of what people are saying on Twitter about Reebok lately. I saw this tweet before. So this is somebody, Alice Teller says, if there's one thing every woman needs, it's fewer compliments. Gee, thanks, Reebok. And so a lot of people like that one. Based Monitored said, Reebok found Trump's comment to Macron's wife sexist. I'll never buy from Reebok again. Another hashtag boycott Reebok. A bunch of negative comments here. Kat says Reebok thought it'd be hip and funny to hop on the Trump hate bandwagon. People retweet to, once again, hashtag boycott Reebok, show him MAGA, Kafeve and stuff. Now this person's more of a positive about the tweet. Fiddler said, holy crap, at Reebok subtweeted the president and I am here for this. I don't even know what subtweet means. You know that? What does it mean to subtweet? I'm going to tell you. Subtweet is a post that refers to a particular user without directly mentioning them, typically as a form of furtive mockery or sarcasm. It mentions a Twitter person without using their actual username. Okay, fine. We already saw that one from Diane 3 Strikes. Oh, here's another one. So this was similar to what one of our viewers sent us. This one that Fenris posted. It said Reebok would never objectify women. They're above that. And you can see this Reebok ad with the woman's rear end prominently figured. So that's an example of some of the reaction we've been seeing online to this on both sides. If you want to see more, I'm sure you can go on and search Reebok and you'll find a ton of stuff there. So I just want to see if you have any more comments about this. Would love to hear from you. I Stand With Trump says, Steve, Reebok has lost me as a customer. Sorry, I need a little water here. I stand with Trump says, Steve, Reebok has lost me as a customer. It will, it says it will Nike and K-Swiss. I think there might be a typo there, and you mean you'll buy, I will buy Nike and K-Swiss. I will be burning my old Reeboks in the morning. MAGA. Thanks for writing in. I stand with Trump. Aaron Williams writes in, hey Reebok, here's a quarter, call someone who cares. Thank you, Aaron, for writing in. Linda Winterfield writes in, just as the celebs, keep your political comments to yourselves. Don't care who you voted for. I just don't want to hear about #boycott. That is from Linda Winterfield. Sightless Seer says, I've always worn cheap $10 canvas shoes, LOL, no name. If you wish to make a statement to a globalist, you have to hit them with what matters most to them. Consumers, money, profit. We are only numbers to them. Drop them companies that are not American-based and American-focused. Those among us who knows us and shares our nation with us, not these international entities who has marked us as numbers in their own eyes and see us only as our value to them rather than their value to our nation. From Sightless Seer. Gianni Principi writes in, Under Armour CEO praised Trump's business knowledge and abilities. UA wipes the floor with Reebok. That's from Gianni Principi. Jason Thornton writes in, hello Jason, when will companies and people learn that all who oppose President Trump fail? Reebok will just be another company that loses millions of customers and dollars when they are boycotted by incensed customers who've had enough bashing our nation's president. R.I.P. Reebok. Regards, Jason Thornton. Thanks, Steve. You are a Newsbeast RSBN rocks. Thank you, Jason, so much for writing in. So I think I'm caught up. I'll stay on for a few more minutes here in case anyone has any more comments they want to write in about this news story, about this tweet from Reebok. And, you know, we covered this in the Comey story today about Comey about the New York Times today reported that Comey's going to sign a book deal, tell-all book deal, like in the next week. And, you know, these were both stories which, are they the biggest news stories? No. But in a way that's kind of like one of the big reasons we wanted to cover them is because I don't think you'll see a lot of these coverage of these stories in the mainstream media, but I do think these stories are important. So we wanted to come on today and cover them for you. Steve Feast writes in, Adidas, all day I dream about Steve. I don't think that's what it stands for. Anita says, you are in good shape, beautiful. I said that very often to my students. Boycott Reebok. We get New Balance. We love Trump. MAGA. That is from Anita. Thank you for writing in, Anita. Feel free to write to me on Twitter. @Lookner. Give your comment. I'll read it on the air. @Lookner. A lot of you seem to have strong feelings about this. But no matter what you feel, I'm happy to hear people on no matter what side you're taking on it. Light Switch in the chat room says, I want Reebok arrested. Alan Reiser says, Reebok's about 6 months too late. That left is crap doesn't wash. That leftist crap doesn't wash anymore. The country is in better shape and we know it. Deplorable and irredeemable says, deplorable and irredeemable but not fake says, let's all call Reebok CEO Monday morning. Adam Tatusco says, RSBN covers the stories that matter to true Americans. Thank you, Adam. Amanda McAvee writes, arrest Reebok. Now, I'm not sure what they can be arrested for, Amanda, but I appreciate you writing a comment in the chat room. Dawson Meyer says, my mom and I love watching your live streams. Any news on North Korea? Thank you for watching, Dawson. You know, no, good question. No news on North Korea. I was actually thinking to myself yesterday, it's been over a week since their last test, which means they're probably due for another test. So we'll keep an eye on it here, but no news from them recently. This is, again, Right Side Broadcasting. We hope you're enjoying our coverage of this news story. And thank you again to the moderators for moderating. Thank you, JC, in the chat room. And thank you for the people who gave donations. We are viewer supported, so if you like to donate, even if it's a small donation, no donation is too small or too large, either way, for us, because your donations really do keep us on the air. If you want to donate, you can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or in the YouTube chat room next to the broadcast, you can click the $ at the bottom of the chat room. Or if you want to get, you might not know about this, you can get free Right Side stuff like this mug here. If you're interested in free Right Side stuff, we give stuff away in exchange for people who make monthly donations on our Patreon site. So our Patreon site is www.patreon.com/RSBN, and Patreon is Patreon. Carl Peterson writes, has a Reebok sponsorship ever won anything? I can't. Now they used to. I'd have to go back to like the '80s and stuff. I'm guessing some people won something, right, Carl? Like a long time ago. I mean, I don't know though, Carl. I don't feel like they sponsor that much stuff lately. I hardly see their brand name around. Maybe I'm wrong about this though. Maybe they sponsor a lot of stuff in England or something. Thank you, Carl, for writing in. I Stand With Trump says, Steve, here's a story about Reebok sweatshops. Please check it out and share it. Thank you. So. I Stand With Trump sent me a story here. Now, this is from, now I'm not going to read the story and everything because it'll take too long to read. It's also from 2010. I'll have to check it out. But if anyone's interested, the headline is Reebok accused of sweatshop violations in El Salvador. It's from SGB Media. And the first paragraph is a new report by the National Labor Committee claims that NFL jerseys from Reebok were sewn under illegal sweatshop conditions. So I don't know anything about this story, but if you want to look it up, you can look up that headline. Thank you, I Stand With Trump, for sending that in. I'll look at it more later. JC just sent me a tweet that said, oh, The Hill is reporting that Mitch McConnell announced that the vote on Republicans' Obamacare repeal in place would be delayed until a later date because John McCain had recovered. He's recovering from his surgery. But I'm trying to figure out how long will it be delayed. So all I can tell, let me show you real quick. So it's a little off the subject, but it's sort of a little bit of a breaking news here that JC just gave me a heads up about. So I'll just show you the article real quick. If I can find your message, JC, I'll show it. There it is. So The Hill just posted this: McConnell delays healthcare vote. And it says, Mitch McConnell announced Saturday night that the vote on Senate Republicans' Obamacare repeal and replace bill will be delayed until a later date because John McCain had, he's going to miss, it says, you'll see, the news comes after John McCain released a statement saying that he would miss this week's votes as he recovers from surgery. Now, perhaps it's only going to be delayed till next week, but thank you, JC, for the heads up. I'll have to read that after we get off the air, too. Thank you, JC. Let me get back, though. Some more of you had comments, though, so I want to get to those on this Reebok tweet. If you have comments on the... Ooh, that's not good. I got to get that in frame. If you have any more comments on the Reebok tweet, we'd love to hear from you. At Lookner on Twitter is where to reach me. At Lookner. Maritza Manasian says, the comment, you're in such good shape. She says, huge compliment coming from President Trump. He has good taste when it comes to good-looking women. That's from Maritza. You know, one other point I want, thank you, Maritza. One other point I want to say about this is, you know, President Trump is, he has a huge experience in business, and he's very used to like schmoozing people, because in business you schmooze, you socialize lightly with people in a nice way that you think they're going to like. I mean, it's part of business. And you know, not to say everything he says is proper. I wouldn't say that about any person without knowing the specifics. But when you see a comment like this is not the first time President Trump has dealt with like an important female in an important situation. And you got to think that President Trump does have some experience with women and women in high positions in these kind of like important meeting kind of situations. And I don't know this for a fact, but it's very possible that President Trump, through his experience, has come to learn that saying something like this is something that women actually like in a certain situation, and it's a nice compliment to give them. And I'm just saying, I've heard no one give this analysis that like, hey, shouldn't we think he might have a little bit of like knowledge, small talk knowledge, given that this is what he's been doing with his life for basically all his adult life, is doing businessy kind of stuff where you schmooze with people. So I don't know. I feel like, I'm not saying that should mean everything he says is immediately judged to be correct and appropriate, but I also think I'm willing to think he has a lot of past experience with this kind of thing, and maybe he has good reasons and experience in saying this kind of stuff, and so that's maybe it's something that he was confident that Brigitte Macron, from his past experience, would actually like him to say and feel good about. So just another point to consider. We have a message from the moderator, Common Sense, RSBN.TV moderator. Thank you, Common Sense, for writing in. Says, Reebok has seen its better days. Our president is a genius. I'm not doubting that he meant what he said, but he picked the perfect time to say it. I bet he knew as soon as the words left his mouth that the mainstream media would be all over it all weekend. Gotta love our POTUS. That's from Common Sense, the moderator. Aaron Williams says, Reebok is only taking up for Rosie O'Donnell. That's from Aaron Williams. Okay, we'll stay on a couple more minutes here, just in case you have any last comments you want to get in. Write to me at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. And if there's other breaking news this weekend, we will certainly come on and cover it for you. Nets fan in the chat room says all the workers at Reebok get a job at New Balance. And DW Bigley says rebuke Reebok. Music World says just mail your old Reeboks back to Reebok. Oh, so eBascom1 says Reebok owns Adidas. Is that true? I didn't know that, if that's true. I'm looking this up on the internet. Or so it looks like Adidas might own Reebok. Yeah, according to Wikipedia, Adidas owns Reebok. Let's see here. Hold on. It's a subsidiary of Adidas since 2005. How about that? I didn't know. Who knew? Ronnie Mercer writes in, Trump's comments were perfectly okay. You can't compliment a woman now? Memo to Reebok, conservatives buy shoes too. So Ronnie's point about complimenting women, I've heard some other people's response to this tweet was like, women actually like this kind of compliment. Now, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak for women, but I've heard some people say that. Ella Bell Wilson says, I think the president knows that women love honest and sincere compliments. I sure know that I do. That's from Ella Bell Wilson. That's what we were talking about. Gab I. Lakim says, Reebok is the CNN of shoe companies. In other words, they are no good to the public. # boycott. D. Green says, Trump surely was aware of the talk of the age difference. It was his way, like a lot of us do, of assuring she knew he didn't agree with the bad. Oh, you're saying that because she is much older. Is she like something like 20 years older than Emmanuel Macron is? I can tell you what her age is. Brigitte Macron age. She is 64 and Emmanuel Macron is 39. And so this is an interesting point. What you're saying is he was aware of the talk of the age difference and that she's older than him and she's 64. And it was his way of assuring, D. Green, you're saying it's the president's way of assuring her that he didn't agree with the bad talk about her age and stuff like that. Thanks, D. Green, for writing in. Dylan Converse says, out of shape, ugly Reebok, globalists exploiting third worlds for decades. And you link to an article here. It says, why I rejected the Reebok Human Rights Award. And I'm just skimming over the article. This article complains about some of the low pay and exploitation of workers in Indonesia, Mexico, and Vietnam. Dita Sari wrote this in 2002. Now, I don't know. It's an older article. So a couple of you have sent me articles about Reebok's possible work conditions of their workers. I'm not familiar with this, so I can't speak to it, but it's something you can all go Google if you'd like to Google it more. So thank you for sending me those articles. Darren Giesler writes in, seems like he thinks the investigation is going to be swept under the rug. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. This was not about this. This was a reaction to my tweet about Comey earlier. So sorry. I stand with Trump says, I believe Trump supporters should return any and all shoes they may have recently bought. MAGA. Sightless Seer says, as distasteful as Reebok is, and as much as I strongly disagree with both this tactic and their overall agenda, they can still do so legally, unless it becomes a threat to president, country, or people. They have as much right for that to offend me as we do to offend them. Rights do not end at someone's feelings; they are clearly stated and defined. I would agree with you, Sightless Seer. I haven't heard many people say what they did was illegal. I think just some people that we've heard from tonight think it was inappropriate for them to do that. Patriot at Heart writes, Reebok sucks anyway, haven't bought this brand in years. Sharon writes, I don't wear Reebok. I remember my mother wore them years ago. Guess it's free publicity. They need it, that's for sure. It's interesting. A number of you have written in who are not happy with this Reebok tweet, but I actually think the majority of people who I've gotten comments from who are not happy with this Reebok tweet are women. So, who Reebok, I would assume, thinks that they're defending women in a sense by posting this tweet, but a number of women we've heard from are not happy with the tweet. If you'd like to write in, we're still on for a little while longer here, and have any comments, thank you for all your comments so far. Have any comments you want me to read on the air about this tweet, whatever they are, at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. But do it soon, because I think we're reaching close to the end of the stream. Checking the chat room here. Kathleen Laverso in the chat room says, throw all our Reeboks and Adidas on the telephone wires near their stores. And whatever 3210 says, seriously, Reebok, LOL, where do you find them? Thrift stores? Thrift stores? And Jason Thornton says, make sure the return shoes are well worn and not washed. LOL. Okay, I think because I am caught up with your messages, we are going to end the stream now. So I appreciate you all being watching the stream. And the moderators, thank you so much for moderating the chat room. And everybody who wrote in, I always enjoy reading all of your comments and your thoughts about whatever issue we're talking about. The people who donated, thank you for donating. We are, as I said before, we're viewer supported, so your donations are what let us stay on the air. So if you enjoy this coverage and would like us to do more of it, please consider donating. You can go to rsbn.tv/donate. That's rsbn.tv/donate. And special hi to everybody on Facebook as well as YouTube. If you like our coverage, also subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell. Like and follow us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at RSB Network, and follow me on Twitter. I am at Lookner, at Lookner. I post a lot about breaking news and about issues like this. So some of the things I said you might have heard already because you saw me tweet out about them earlier. So anyways, I appreciate all of you writing in and all of your messages and all of your participations. Thanks to everybody in the YouTube chat room that I'm seeing right now saying goodbye, like JC and Joshua Senior and a bunch of you, Dan P. and all the other regulars. I'm not going to read, there's a lot of people in the chat room, so I'm not going to read everybody's name, but, and PJ. So appreciate all of you watching and all of you writing in. And let's see. Oh, one more comment here. D. Green writes, and absolutely nothing wrong with that comment. It was a compliment. Fierce feminists are so hair-triggered, hair-brained, it's complimenting both of them. Okay, thank you, Light Switch, thank you, Educate and JC and and Maritza and everybody else in Music World, everybody else in the chat room. Okay, I'm gonna go now, but look forward to the next time we see you here at Right Side Broadcasting. If there's more breaking news, we will certainly come on and cover it this weekend. So have a great evening, have a great rest of your weekend. For now, I'm Steve Lookner for Right Side Broadcasting. Have a good night.